Want to know whether to buy or sell on the Washington Commanders, the San Francisco 49ers, the Denver Broncos, and the New York Giants? Teddy and I are going to take that apart in great detail later on in the show. You're watching Wager Talk Today, everybody, and we got a great show lined up. Teddy Covers is my co-host. I'm Lawrence Presman. Adam Trigger joining us right off the bat. Adam, what do you think of the mustache?
I think you can pull it off, Prez. I couldn't pull that off, but you definitely can.
Yeah. Well, Teddy, before we jump in, it is Movember. If you guys check out my Twitter or my X, Carmine Bianco. So I put up a page to raise money for Movember, and Carmine Bianco will be giving out a 3-day all-access pass on him, not on Wager Talk, on him, for anyone who donates to my Movember page. It's really nice of Carm. Thank you. So you can find that page on Twitter. Check it out. Teddy, the mic is yours.
Yeah, it's a good look for you, Lawrence. Not so
Porn
much.
stash, Prez.
Adam Trigger, you were number one at Wager Talk last year in college basketball. You went on a monster run when it mattered most in March, and you're looking on defending your title this year. You got a couple of teams you want to talk about. Let's start with the Griffs, Canisius. What do you have to say about Canisius this year? That's not a team that's on many people's radar. It's one that you've highlighted that we can make some money with right out of the gate. College hoop starts what? Next week? Break it down, Adam Trigger.
Yeah, Teddy, thanks. So it starts on Monday. Can't wait till the season starts. We've got over 100 games right off the bat this coming Monday, which is why I wanted to come here. This will be my last time on Wager Talk Today before the season. So I thought we could talk some college hoops. And the reason I've picked these two teams, so if you follow me on Twitter, you know all month long I've been doing previews. I've previewed the teams I went and saw in person last year. And so Canisius is one of those teams I got a chance to see a couple of times. I follow them closely because they're in the MAC conference, and I have a couple of actionable angles. So I thought they were a good one to bring to the show here. So just about the MAC in general, real quick. Iona's going to be the favorite. I saw MAC odds trickle out earlier today on some of the sites. I think you'll start to see them all over the place within the coming days. Iona the favorite, no surprise there. But, Rick Pitino's not there anymore. It's Tobin Anderson, new coach, very new team. Big difference between his team at Fairleigh Dickinson last year that went and knocked off Purdue to the one he has at Iona is this team's big. He had the smallest team in the country last year. Now he's got a big team. It's just going to be a different team for him. And I don't know that Iona should be priced the way they are to win this conference. So I'm going to kind of take a flyer on Canisius to win this conference. I saw 14-1 on this team, Teddy, which I think is kind of crazy given the parity of the MAC. So where I went to school, Siena, they're always going to be overpriced. They have the biggest fan base in the conference. They always have expectations year in and year out, and they typically get overvalued. Fairfield was one of the other teams. They bring in Alexis Yetna from Seton Hall. Some good transfers. People were very high on Fairfield. The coach got fired like 3 weeks ago. I think there was some strippers in Puerto Rico. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. But the point is, it's never really a good scenario when your coach gets fired 3 weeks before the season. I'd be willing to fade them. Ryder, every couple of years you've got expectations for Ryder. They almost never live up to them. So you start to get down the list a little bit. And I see Canisius sitting there at 14-1. Which I think is phenomenal value. You have 8 guys back from last year's team. Yes, they do lose a couple of scorers from last year, but they bring back Taj Stavesky, who could be he's going to be one of the best guards in the MAC. He could be the best guard in the MAC. In his, they played Colgate in a secret scrimmage the other day, and the reports are that Stavesky was the best player on the floor, totally went at Braden Smith of Colgate, and that's a Colgate team that's favored to win the Patriot League by a mile. And, 23 points. I just like what I'm hearing from, in terms of his development this summer. And then they've got 8 other guys that played on last year's team. They've got size. You don't see that often in the MAC. Front court, 6'7", 6'9", 6'9". Like they've got some bigger size than they've had in years past. So Canisius, to me, I would have made them more like 5-1, 6-1. If you're going to give me 14-1 on the Griffs to win this conference regular season, when teams really struggle with that trip out to Buffalo, where Canisius is located, I think that's really good value. And I think that's a good bet. And then the other thing is they're playing some tough teams right out of the gate. They've got Syracuse, St. Bonaventure, Cleveland State, Wofford. They go up to Canada to play an MTE against Western Kentucky and Bowling Green, all either on a neutral or on the road. You're going to be able to get some good big numbers to take Canisius as a dog early in the season as well.
So when we talk about odds to win the conference, and let's just make this very clear for everyone, are we talking about odds to win the conference tournament at the end of the season? Or are we talking about winning the regular season, just winning the regular season title? And the tiebreaker scenarios come into play there where you have to worry about your 14-1 getting tiebreakered out.
Yeah, that's a great question, Teddy. Gonzaga St. Mary's kind of comes to mind last year where, there can be a tie at the top of the conference. It's going to vary book to book. So obviously check your rules there. But we are talking about winning the MAC regular season title. So simply finishing first in the conference. And that's what I believe, Teddy. Yep. All of these books that are putting those odds out, I believe they're putting them out right now for the regular season. I think that's the norm of what you're going to see.
Adam Trigger joining us, everyone. We got a great show. Eric Pauly will be on next. He's looking at the baseball game and also the New England Patriots football game. We've got Marketplace NFL with Teddy and the Prez and Jimmy Adams at the end of the show. He's going to look at Oklahoma State at Oklahoma and Indiana at Wisconsin. Adam, I'm out of breath. In the middle of you talking, I ran upstairs and changed shirts. And the reason I did that is because I want you to see my new shirt I'm wearing that you, Adam, can buy at wagermerch.com. Look, it's dude. You.
I still don't know how I feel about that picture, but it's a great looking shirt, though. I will say that.
Yep. There you go, guys. It's the Hustle Show. And you guys can buy this shirt and many, many more shirts at wagermerch.com. And Adam, you will not be disappointed at the quality of these shirts. Like, I was amazed at how good the quality is. So guys, please check out wagermerch.com. There's tons of slogan shirts up there, all the show shirts, etc. Please check that out. Adam, your second team you want to discuss is St. Mary's. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just want to talk about national championship futures real quick and just betting them in general. I think a lot of people come out firing with these beginning of the season. I always don't agree that that's the best sort of approach. I think you should kind of add these as the season goes based on, where you think you can kind of buy low with a team. But the one I did bet so far is St. Mary's. I took 55-1. I think you can probably find 60-1 as well. And the reason is I don't think we're going to see better than that on this team this season. So another bettable angle here with St. Mary's would be them to win their conference. And so I'll talk about that first before I get into the national title odds. St. Mary's, I really feel like they're superior to Gonzaga this year. They have more depth. They have more returning. Randy Bennett has a roster full of seniors. He's been upperclassmen, guys that have been there. There's not a ton of roster turnover. He's been deadly with that combination in the past. And Gonzaga's not quite as deep. And there's more question marks on Gonzaga's roster. And now with BYU going to the Big 12, it really is going to be Gonzaga or St. Mary's in the WCC. And what I'm seeing right now is St. Mary's plus 140, Gonzaga minus 140. And I would actually have those flipped. So tough to tie your money up for plus 140 for a long period of time, but get those credit accounts going, if you have them. And I really like St. Mary's to win this conference. I think the odds are incorrect. And I think you'll see those odds flip to St. Mary's being the slight favorite over Gonzaga as we get a little bit further into the season. Now, as far as St. Mary's in terms of national title contention, when I'm betting teams to win the NCAA title, mean to cut down the nets in March before one shining moment and win it all, I'm looking at value relative to the number and can this team actually do it, right? Because you could take a huge price all day long, but if the team can't actually get there or there's no actual chance at it, then the value doesn't really matter. But I really think St. Mary's, listen, we're starting to see this more and more. Last year we had Florida Atlantic, we had San Diego State in the Final Four. It's a tournament where if you get hot at the right time or you have a style that other people struggle with, you can make a deep run. I was actually at St. Mary's final game last year. They lost to UConn out here in Albany, New York. And had Alex Dukas not gotten hurt in that game, St. Mary's very well could have beaten the team that ended up going on and beating everyone by double digits and winning the whole thing. St. Mary's was also 4 for 14 from 3 in that game. Had they shot it a little better, they maybe win. And their style really gave UConn fits because they have a very unique style that they play well, and that tends to play well in the NCAA tournament. Now, why I think this team could be so good and those odds could disappear is you look at their schedule. Randy Bennett, I don't know how he did it, but he put together a schedule of great competition, and he's got all of these teams either coming to McKeon Pavilion, 3,500 seat on-campus gym that goes crazy and is a very tough place to win, or on a neutral floor. I'm going to read off the teams that they're going to play on a neutral or at home this year. Your mind will probably be blown. New Mexico, Weber State, San Diego State, last year's NCAA runner-up, of course, Davidson, Utah, Boise State, Cleveland State, UNLV, Middle Tennessee State, Northern Kentucky, Missouri State, and Kent State are either all going to St. Mary's to play a true road game, or St. Mary's is going to play them on a neutral floor. The only road game they have, a true road game, before conference play starts is at Colorado State, another very good team that could represent a very good non-conference win. So if St. Mary's is as good as I think they are, they have depth. Aiden Mahaney is going to be phenomenal. I think he makes a jump his freshman to sophomore year. I think he puts on a little muscle. He was incredible as a freshman, and I think he takes a step forward this year. They only lose Kyle Bowen and Logan Johnson, which is really probably more, on the defensive end than anything, but they'll probably play a little bit faster this year to offset that. Man, they could be heading into January with a bunch of good non-conference wins, and you will never see 55 or 60 to 1 again on this team. If that's the case, you're probably going to see more like 20 to 1. So I think this is a phenomenal bet to make before the season. St. Mary's to win it all. Shop around, of course. I saw as high as 66 to 1. And then if you have the credit or the bankroll, St. Mary's plus 140 to win the WCC is a great bet as well.
So I can get there with them to win the WCC at plus 140. But when we're talking about a non-major conference team winning a national championship, it just hasn't happened. I mean, the last time a team like St. Mary's, I guess, would be UNLV in 91. In 90, I'm sorry, they lost to Duke in 91. And UNLV came into the season number 1 that year. I mean, they were loaded. St. Mary's isn't. We've seen teams get to the Final Four. We haven't seen any of them in terms of mid-majors. Even Gonzaga or San Diego State last year be able to actually cut down the nets. What makes St. Mary's different?
So first of all, to get paid on this bet, you don't need to win it all. Okay? When you're talking about a 60 to 1, I mean, if you had San Diego State last year in that price range, you should have gotten paid because you should have just taken Florida Atlantic plus the points in the semi and middled that and then had a chance to hedge out with UConn. So when you're talking big numbers like this, Teddy, 55, 60 to 1, you can make money on that if you get to the Final Four. Maybe even if you get to the Elite Eight. But I would say a 60 to 1 shot, if they get to the Final Four, you're going to have plenty of opportunities to lock in profit. And who knows, maybe this is the year.
Adam Trigger, outstanding stuff. What do you got to promote, my brother?
Yeah, so I've got my college basketball full season early bird special is still up on my page. It was number 1 at WagerTalk last year, 87.35 units. I hope to improve on that this year. The season starts on Monday, and I'll be coming right out of the gate firing plays. I already have a couple of spots I'm trying to look at for Monday. As soon as we get lines up, I'll have them in. So I'm looking forward to a great season, and hope you see you guys out on the road. I'm going to try to hit like 30 more games around the country this year. So if I come to your town, shoot me a DM. I'll probably take you to the game.
Adam Trigger doing a college basketball tour. I love it, Teddy. Brother, what did you learn in the wonderful world of sports betting last night?
So this last week has not been a good one for me or my clients. NFL, college, not good. And my NBA's burning money the last few days. Really frustrating. I suck right now. And I know what to do when I suck. It's happened before. I'm sure it'll happen again. You take your time. You dot your I's. You cross your T's. You go slow. And all you try to do is, if you need it, take a day off, clear your head, do your work, and get right back at it. That's what I do when I suck. But I haven't sucked for the last 2 decades. The Raiders have sucked for the last 2 decades. And Mark Davis made his move late last night. McDaniels and Ziegler, head coach, GM, fired. Offense coordinator, fired. This is, of course, the second set of firings for the Raiders in recent years. We saw John Gruden and Mike Mayock also get fired within the last 5 years. So now he owes, I think, $80 million, Mark Davis does, in contracts, guaranteed contracts to coaches who are no longer there, not to mention the GM. And look, the Raiders weren't getting better. They were getting worse. McDaniels went 9-16 as a Raiders coach, and there were plenty of embarrassing moments. The problems go deeper than just McDaniels or just Gruden. We haven't had a good GM here in Las Vegas. When you're spending, they're trading the money for Devontae Adams and the picks and Chandler Jones, all these win now moves for a team that isn't capable of winning now. So now you're talking about interim head coach. And by the way, if you had McDaniels as the first coach to be fired, congratulations. That's a nice ticket to cash. You have an interim head coach in terms of Antonio Pierce, the former Giants linebacker. You have an interim GM. You have an interim offense coordinator. And you have a team that's laying points this week. That, to me, is what's interesting. We've seen some money come in for the New York Giants. That has a lot to do with Daniel Jones, who may well play on Sunday. He's been out the last couple of weeks. But right now, the Raiders, as an organization, as a franchise, sometimes you expect that new coach bounce when a guy that they didn't like goes out of town. Maybe we get that from the Raiders this week. But I wouldn't put my money on it. Lawrence, back to you.
You want to know what an inept organization does? They wait until the trade deadline passes and then they fire their entire front office. Freaking geniuses. They're sitting there with Devontae Adams. He doesn't want to be there. They don't need him. They could pick up a whole lot of draft capital, but no, they come out and announce that they aren't trading him, and then they're all fired. Oh, well, what do you do, dude? And the worst part is we have to watch the damn Rangers every week in my house because Vivian finds Jimmy G very bloody sexy. Oh, so now I got to watch the Raiders game this week because Jimmy G isn't injured. Teddy, great take. Man, we could talk about the trade deadline for a while. We're not. We're going to do a little marketplace and we'll get it there. But what I wanted to say, I want to talk about Customer Appreciation Day. And guys, my God, the turnout was spectacular. I can't thank you guys enough for coming onto WagerTalk.com and buying the $2 plays yesterday. If I say that most handicappers did 10 times what they normally would do, that would probably be an understatement. I did insane sales numbers yesterday on my $2 plays, and I ended up going 2-0 for you guys. So I hope that we were symbiotic in our appreciation. You guys came out in droves and purchased our plays, and I then ended up going 2-0. And Teddy, I know you don't want to hear me promote, and I respect that, brother, but I'm in the middle of a run of the year, dude. I mean, 2023 has been an outstanding betting year for me from start to finish, but I am currently on the best run I have been on in memory. I am on a 6-0 NBA run, 6-0. 10-1 in my last 11 NBA bets. I'm on an 11-2 NHL run. I'm on a 32-11 all sports run. 32-11. I went 2-0 last night. Guys, you need to be playing my bets. I have a big 4% NBA bet tonight and a 3% NHL bet. I'm in the middle of the run of the year for me. So let's keep it going. Eric Pauly joining us right off the bat. Eric, let's get straight into baseball. It's almost over, or is it? What's going down?
I think it's over. I think tonight is the night the Texas Rangers are crowned the 2023 World Series champions. I actually am holding right now a Texas to win the series 4-1 ticket at plus 520, and I'm doubling down. This is the 3% play for the gold sheet tonight. Something, of course, I bet myself. I'm fading Zach Gallen tonight. He started the season as a Cy Young candidate, looking like one of the better pitchers in the National League. And at the second half of the season, he really struggled. And so far this postseason, he has not been a good pitcher whatsoever. And I think that despite the fact his season was split, when he was home, he was one of the best pitchers in baseball. He was electric. When he was on the road, he did not do well. Of course, he is home tonight, but I just think it's really important to hone in on his stats in the playoffs and compare them to his stats during the regular season. Postseason Gallen, a 5.93 K through 9, and this guy's supposed to be a strikeout pitcher, a 5.27 ERA, which we know speaks for itself. And we'll get into some advanced numbers here, a 6.33 FIP and a 5.23 xFIP. Regular season, these numbers, 9.43 K through 9, 3.47 ERA, 3.26 FIP, 3.49 xFIP. So it's a major drop-off no matter how you want to slice it. And again, his saving grace this season has been pitching at home. In his one home start this postseason, the Phillies knocked him around for 4 runs on 6 hits. He just struck out only one Philly in that matchup. And the similarities between these Phillies and Rangers lineups, a lot of left-handed bats he struggles against as well. Phillies had a lot of lefties in their lineup. The Rangers will do so again tonight. Going with the experience here, Nate Eovaldi, he obviously got hit around a little bit in the first matchup of Game 1 of this series, but I'm leaning on the better lineup, the better manager with the experience of winning closeout games, and the starting pitcher with experience here. Give me the Rangers to win the World Series tonight, and I want to cash out that 4-1 bet as well. I'm all Rangers tonight, and I think the MLB season will end tonight.
Well, you talked about the success that Texas and other teams have had against Gallen. What about the success that Arizona's had against Eovaldi? They slapped him around in Game 1 and hit him pretty good. Now, Eovaldi and the Rangers, they've been on the right side of every single postseason start. But when we're talking about 2 bullpens that are both worn down, 2 starting pitchers who've both thrown more innings than they're used to throwing, neither of whom is necessarily in great current form. In my mind, the over is the one that makes sense tonight, just like last night. Talk to me about Arizona's ability or inability to go ahead and hit Eovaldi and the Rangers bullpen.
So you got to give credit to Arizona last night. They could have easily just gotten destroyed 11-1, and then everyone would be betting the Rangers tonight, and this line wouldn't be as close as it would be because they would think they're a dead-in-the-water team. You know, they showed some life, made the score a little bit more respectable. I know, like I said, Arizona did hit around Eovaldi a little bit, but I'm taking the experience in the situation here. Eovaldi's pitched in World Series before, been lights out this postseason, and I'm honestly not deterred. You look at this lineup for Arizona, it's nice to see Christian Walker getting hot again for them. Guys in the bottom of the order, Gurriel, of course, Marte and Carroll, but just pound for pound, and this is why I took the Rangers to win the series 4-1 in the first place. This is a better baseball team. So you can point to Game 1 and say, Arizona hit him around. You can look at the bullpens. They're both a little bit depleted right now, but it's just simply put, I'm riding with the better baseball team to win and finish the postseason without losing a single game on the road this year.
Wow. Eric Pauly, great job, man. Eric, you can find him at WagerTalk.com. He is one of the core writers for the Gold Sheet. Check that site out. Check that publication out. It's absolutely spectacular. Eric, let's turn our attention to the Washington Commanders going in to play the New England Patriots. We just saw Washington trade Young and Sweat, which is exactly how Teddy likes it. And now it's plus 3.5. So where are we going in this game?
Yeah, so this is a bet that when I was writing the goal sheet, I made Monday morning and got actually a 2.5 before the deadline news. So before, coming in with some follow-up questions about, are you just focusing on the deadline and the trades? Absolutely not. This is just a matchup where I think the Patriots have conceivable edges in coaching. If you take a look at it, yes, this number has moved and it makes sense. There is a 3 out there at a respectable offshore that if you can get to, I would definitely take a look at that. And I still even like it at 3.5 because of this mismatch. But Washington's defense last season without Young and Sweat, because they were both injured at times last year, actually performed better. They allowed fewer points, fewer yards, had a winning record. They blitzed more, so they didn't rely as much on just the four-man front. They were better on third down. And as we know, the New England Patriots offense is completely broken, and now Kendrick Bourne, their number one receiver, is out. So how is this football? How are they going to move the football? And, I'm giving points for Washington. Why do I like New England? Like I started this segment with, it's the coaching. Sam Howell turned in his two worst games by a wide mile against two veteran defensive-minded coaches that completely destroyed him. We're talking about Wink Martindale, the coordinator for the Giants, who had every blitz scheme under the sun, who used to be the DC for the Ravens, so he is familiar with Eric Bieniemy and the offense that he runs, that he took from Kansas City into Washington. But also, Sean McDermott, head coach Buffalo Bills, put together an absolute beatdown of Sam Howell in this offense, and he is, of course, familiar with what Bieniemy did in Kansas City from their multiple battles in the AFC over there. Now we're talking about Bill Belichick, the best defensive coach that we've seen, or at least that I've seen. I don't know about you guys, you got the years on me, but the best defensive coaches I've seen. I have no doubts that he'll be able to put together a game plan to attack this terrible Washington offensive line, to get to this rookie quarterback. That's something Belichick does. It's one of his staples, is stifling young quarterbacks, especially ones that are not that good, which Sam Howell is not, even though he did have a great game last year. So even at under 3 or at 3, I still love it. 3.5, of course, you'd like to get that 3 to have that key number protection. I think New England wins by a touchdown here, and the coaching edge is just with New England. Bill Belichick should be able to put up a great game plan to get to Howell, and that should be the ball game right there.
Teddy, 1 second.
New England score?
Eric, Teddy, I'm coming to you, Teddy. I'm coming to you, baby. So, Eric, I type into the Slack, Teddy, do you need a follow-up question here? Because we're talking about Washington in the marketplace. Teddy's like, well, you mentioned young and sweaty, so I'll have a quickie. Teddy or quickie?
I want to talk about the New England side of the equation here. Can the Patriots beat anybody by more than a field goal? Plain and simple. I mean, coaching edge, yes, but New England hasn't exactly lit things up on the offensive end of the field this season. And we haven't seen them win a whole lot of games by margin this season. Is this a team more comfortable laying them more than, and now it's more than a field goal they got to win by in order to cover the point spread? Can we ask the Patriots to do that?
Definitely tough. Not denying it there, but we also saw the New York Giants only score 14, Washington only score 7, and the Giants win just 2 weeks ago in that matchup. And the only points that Washington scored was because of a muffed punt that they were able to make a turnover and only have to go 25 yards. So I think while, yes, absolutely no denying that it's tough for this New England Patriots team to put up points and win by margin, this Washington team, when facing a defense that knows how to go against this offensive style and get two young quarterbacks, this offense is probably just as bad, if not worse. So I could see this game even being a 17-7, 14-7, 9-0 style of game. I think Bill Belichick pulls out all the stops, Howell will turn the football over, and defensive score for New England is definitely not out of the equation here.
With no disrespect, I disagree with pretty close to everything you said on this game. This defense knows how to do what? Allow Miami to put up 31, Buffalo 25, Vegas 21, New Orleans 34, Miami. Dallas 38, Miami.
So, Lawrence, what the Patriots did against Miami last week, holding them to, 5.3 yards per play, they played a good defensive game in that. Even though they gave up 31, They played a good defensive game. They did.
Yeah, we'll go at the end of the game. We'll go with that. I will be Teddy and I will be discussing the Washington game in marketplace.
Game. I was watching that game.
I watch every game, Teddy. Game. Every single game I watch, my brother.
Clearly, Eric, you didn't watch this one if you're telling me that New England had a bad defensive game plan. They played great defensively in that game.
I think New England's defense stinks, and I'm happy to discuss it later. Eric, what do you got to promote?
Customer Appreciation Day at WagerTalk was yesterday, but for the rest of the week, it's over at goldsheet.com. Head over to goldsheet.com. You can log in with username WTFree and password WTFree, and you have access to the NBA and NFL and college, of course, Gold Sheet from now through Sunday. So head on over to goldsheet.com. Again, username is WTFree. Password is the same thing, WTFree. And you have access again through Sunday for the entire NFL Week 9. College Week 10, and basketball, which, as we know, is alive and well starting off.
Eric Pauly, everyone, and we love having you on this show. Outstanding stuff. And guys, man, take advantage of that free gold sheet offer. It is the most incredible sports betting publication in the world, and it has been around since before Teddy and I were born. I mean, like 15 years before Teddy and I were born. That's how old that publication is. Teddy covers. We need some likes. So guys, if you can take 1 minute out of your day, 1 second out of your day and hit that like button. We're at 81 likes. We need to get to 125 if you want a daily presidential address. And Teddy, speaking of the daily presidential address, when I mentioned yesterday that it was a bad spot for the Toronto Maple Leafs, did you read between the lines and understand that I was saying to bet the LA Kings without saying it because I'm a Leaf fan? Did you get that?
No, I don't listen to what you say.
Oh, Teddy. Well done. Well done, Teddy. Okay, it's time for Marketplace. NFL Marketplace with Teddy and the Prez. And let's start right off the bat with this Washington Redskins team. I want to hear your take. You can relate it to New England if you want, or move, look at the big picture. Are they a buy or sell team moving forward, especially after what happened at the trade deadline?
So the Washington Commanders are not a team I want to buy. It's a lame duck coaching staff already there. I would doubt any of them be back. It's a new ownership situation. When you have a lame duck coaching staff, that's not a team that you expect to all of a sudden, after they're trading away key players at the deadline, to all of a sudden find their mojo. Now, there may be a scenario in which you find quote-unquote value with Washington somewhere down the line, because from a power rating standpoint, we've seen, a lot of the money's coming from the Patriots. We're seeing this team decline in terms of their market perception, but Washington's not a team that I want to buy right now. What about you?
Yeah, so on a whole, Teddy, I agree with you. I think moving forward, conceptually, Washington is a sell team. I freaking love them this Sunday against the New England Patriots. So I am buying on Washington this Sunday. Now, when the line was -2.5 and they had a sweaty young guy, I wasn't interested. But now that they got rid of those two and the line is over a hook, Washington is going to be a play for me, flat out. And I'll tell you why real quick. Firstly, they got rid of two of their best defenders. Well, you know what? Those two defenders were doing shit all anyway. This team couldn't get out of their own damn way defensively. When you look at what Washington has been doing with Sweat and Young, they let Philly put up 38 on them. They let Chicago put up 40 on them. They let Philly put up 34 on them. Buffalo 37, Denver 33. It's one of the worst defenses in all of football with those two players. So now they're like even worse than that. It's hard to be worse than that, Teddy. The good thing is New England can't score. New England is in the midst of what could be a historically bad offensive season, except the Giants are worse. New England is averaging 14.8 points a game. In order for them to cover 3.5, they need to score. We know Washington can score. I understand that they only put up 7 against the New York Giants. Well, they've put up a ton against some other teams. 31 against Philadelphia, 31 against Philadelphia the game before that, 35 against Denver, 24 against Atlanta. The fact that Montez Sweat and Chase Young is not playing on Sunday for Washington will have zero effect on their offense. Washington is going to score. New England is not. I like Washington, but after that, Teddy, I'm with you. Sell, sell, sell. San Francisco.
Heck of a quick hitter there,
40,
buddy.
Yeah, I know, dude.
Let's talk about the San Francisco 49ers.
I got passionate.
I know, but we have 5 teams to do and 3 minutes to do them in. And when we're supposed to do quick hitters and we both have to give opinions, your passion was not about this week's game. We were talking buy and sell on Washington, and you spent 2 minutes talking about New England. So let's talk about San Francisco, who's on bye this week. So I'm not sure why you wanted to bring them up.
Oh, yeah,
Niners,
that was dumb.
Buy or sell on bye.
That was dumb. Okay, so let's skip them. We'll do them next week. We'll just go to the Broncos.
No, I brought them up. Buy or sell San Fran.
Buy. Bye for sure. This is a team that's lost 3 in a row that, frankly, I think is one of the best teams in all of football. I put them, the Lions and Philadelphia, Kansas City at the top of the chart. Now we got them off of 3 losses in a row. Their defense now is going to be utterly ridiculous. Not only do I think they're a bye team, I think they're the bye team.
They certainly came on like gangbusters down the stretch last year following their 4-4 start after the bye week and after the trade deadline deal to get McCaffrey. So there's hope for San Fran, but I think that team is priced appropriately in the markets. They're not a value team.
Yeah, that's where the problem comes, is that these buy teams, the bookmakers feel exactly the same as we do. The Denver Broncos, Teddy. Okay, stop arguing. The Denver Broncos. Well,
the
now
concept is buy or sell. That's the concept. So far, we've done 2 teams, and you're like, I'm not buying Denver, so I'm selling Denver. That's my answer. Okay, the Broncos. There's a problem with the Broncos. Their season-long defensive stats are lying. They have these awful defensive numbers. The last 3 weeks in a row, the defense has played very capably, but their early season numbers are killing them when it comes to a value standpoint. So there may well be some value on Denver because those defensive statistics are so poor. But offensively, this team stinks and they're not getting any better and they're not going to trade points with anyone. And that concerns me about Denver moving forward. That's why I don't have a buy on them, even though their defensive statistics are lying. The offense isn't going to get any better.
So I think they're a buy team. Me and you disagree on the Broncos. They had a lot of injuries on defense in the first 3-4 games of the season. Since their defense has been healthy, they have played outstanding. Russell Wilson is getting better. They're now playing more games in Peyton's system. I think this is a buy team moving forward. We disagree. What about the New York Giants?
The Giants are an interesting scenario.
That's why
not a lame duck head coach. Quarterback coming back, markets thoroughly devalued on the G-men. There could be some value with the Giants. In general, they're a bad team. And it's hard to make money with bad teams down the stretch of a long NFL season. But I don't think they're a quit team. And I think with their quarterback back, they're not hopeless. And when you're valued at the bottom of the league, sometimes you can make money with a team like the G-men. There's hope for the Giants. I'm not buying them, but I'm saying they're not hopeless. There's hope for that team. And frankly, I'd rather have the Giants than the Raiders this coming Sunday. Lawrence?
Yeah, so you mentioned that you don't listen to a word that comes out of my mouth. Well, I only put the Giants in there because I have no idea whether to buy and sell on them, and I wanted to listen to what came out of your mouth. So thank you for that. Jimmy Adams joining us, everyone. Jimmy, anything to add to the marketplace? Washington, San Fran, Broncos, Giants, any thoughts?
I think you guys broke it down wonderfully. Buying on San Francisco, I had a big debate with my buddy the other day on Brock Purdy. If that guy was drafted in the first round, we'd be putting him in the Hall of Fame. But, he's just a system quarterback because, he was Mr. Irrelevant. There's value to be had maybe with the Giants down the line. The Commanders are interesting. I've been against them all year. Now they're getting rid of pieces. So we'll see.
Okay, Jimmy Adams wants to talk college football, and we will allow it. Oklahoma State +6 against Oklahoma. How do we bet this game?
Yeah, what a turnaround it's been, right, for Mike Gundy and this Oklahoma State squad. Now winners of 4 straight, both straight up and against the spread. The most important reason behind the turnaround was they found their quarterback, right? Alan Bowman. And this offense is now playing with a lot of confidence. 39, 48, and 45 points in their last 3 games. Then we have an Oklahoma team that's trending in the wrong direction. 0-2 ATS out of the bye. Nearly lost to UCF at home in their first game off the bye. And if there was going to be a theoretical bounce back spot, even though they won that game for the Sooners, it should have been last week against Kansas after the wake-up call. But instead, they lose straight up as 7.5-point favorites. What we've seen from Oklahoma is their defense has looked really good against bad competition earlier in the year. And now we're seeing that they might not be as strong a unit as many people thought. Brent Venables, defensive genius, not so fast. Okie State also brings with them a strong rushing attack led by Ollie Gordon, who has ran for over 550 yards the past 2 games alone. So now we have a balanced attack that can really put up points. There are some holes on the defensive side for the Cowboys. So this could turn into a shootout. So I wouldn't disagree with you if you decided to play the over in this one. I'll probably bet both, to be honest. But the home team has won 5 of the last 7 meetings between these two squads. I like having the 6 in my pocket. Give me Oklahoma State on Saturday.
So, and I'm going to disagree with you. Bowman's been good, but the key to that Oklahoma State success over the last 4 weeks has been the running game. That back's been a monster. Alec Gordon, you mentioned. Yeah. But that's the reason. Is that he's blowing teams off the line of scrimmage. Will that work against? Because the Sooners are pretty good on the defensive front. That's my biggest concern. It's kind of worked against some other teams. Is that going to work against Oklahoma? Because if the Cowboys can't run, I don't think they can win. If they can run, they're live to do anything. But can they run the ball down Oklahoma's throat the way they've done in recent weeks?
I mean, yeah, I think they can. Look, it started with a win against a very good Kansas State team. Then they go and beat the same Kansas team that OU just lost to. Also, all signs point to this team trending upward. This line opened, I believe, at 7 at Circa and was there for about 5 minutes before it got knocked down. But I think 6 is still very playable. I think this is an absolute live dog. They can win this game outright. I am not loving what I'm seeing out of the Sooners at all. When they had the clear playoffs in front of them, all they had to do was, play the way they were playing. Maybe they were just a quick one-hitter in that Texas game and not as good as we thought.
Jimmy Adams joining us, everyone. Outstanding handicapper, one of the best, especially in football. You can find him at WagerTalk.com. Jimmy, before we jump into your next game, what do you have to promote?
So I have a big college football game going down on Saturday. I have not been releasing very many 5% plays, but there is a game going down Saturday that I absolutely love. I will also be in action in the Thursday night NFL game. That will be loaded right after this. So it should be a huge football weekend, and then we're going to get it rolling with college basketball. Grab all my plays, special offers. You know where to get them, wt.buzz/JA.
Jimmy Adams, everyone. Okay, brother. Anna, plus 9.5 against Wisconsin. Where are we going here?
Yeah, this is a tough bounce back spot for Wisconsin after what was a very physical game against Ohio State. The Badgers, they're literally limping into this one with a ton of injuries. We know Tanner Mordecai's out, but even backup Braden Locke's dealing with an ankle injury. Wide receivers, tight ends, running back, skill position players are banged up. And now they're being asked to go on the road and win by double digits against kind of a sneaky Indiana team. Let's keep in mind the Badgers don't even average 25 points per game on the season. So the Hoosiers may be 2-6, but they just went to Penn State and lost by 9, putting up 24 points against one of the best defenses in the country. Definitely. Brendan Sorsby showed some promise in that one, I thought. He threw for 3 TDs, and he'll come over the top on you if you want to load the box too much. So be careful with that. Indiana as a team is allowing less than 200 yards passing per game while going up against some pretty tough competition. We got Michigan in there. Maryland's got a pretty good offense. Wisconsin has underachieved at 5-3. The new air raid that was so hyped coming into the season has been a huge flop. This is not a good offense. The last quote-unquote bounce back spot they were in, they beat Illinois by 4. So I know they have a solid defense. I understand that, but they're just not going to be able to move the ball enough to cover this number. Winning by double digits in Bloomington, I don't think so. Give me Indiana plus the point.
Well, speaking of solid defenses, the Hoosiers have given up 44 to Maryland, 52 to Michigan, 31 to Rutgers prior to playing an extraordinarily flat Penn State team last week after they just came off the Ohio State loss. So it's not like the Hoosiers have this defense that's shutting everybody down by any stretch of the imagination. And, of course, they had Penn State on the ropes last week, and they let them get away. Now it's 4 straight losses, 2-6 on the season. Does Indiana come with anything here? I mean, I understand we want to fade Wisconsin, but how well do we trust the Indiana Hoosiers to step up and bring their A game after they're kind of in the spot that Penn State was in last week, where they had a chance to pull up a real meaningful upset and let it get away?
Yeah, no, and that's a good point. So look, if you have a good offense, you can put points up on Indiana. This is not some top-notch defense. When you're the Michigan Wolverines, you can score a lot of points. When you're Maryland,
Rutgers
you can
did
put
it.
up points on Indiana. Rutgers did it. That's the one. That's the one. You got me there, Teddy. You got me there. But for the most part, it's just not going to happen. Wisconsin does not have a good offense. And I just think asking them to win by double digits on the road is a bad idea, especially with the ton of injuries. I cannot stress that enough. Luke Fickell not doing a good job so far in Madison, and we'll see what happens this weekend.
Jimmy freaking Adams, everybody. Outstanding work like usual. Always a pleasure having you on our show. Congratulations for an outstanding everything, Jimmy, because you're that good. Teddy covers, we got over 125 likes. It's time for the daily presidential address. Okay, guys, I got a couple of hockey bets to give out before we get into that. A reminder to everyone, I'm in the middle of a run of the year. I'm on a 10-1 NBA run, 10-1. I'm on an 11-2 NHL run. I'm on a 32-11 all sports betting run. I went 2-0 on Tuesday night. This is the time to be playing me, period, end of story. I have a very rare 4% NBA best bet up tonight. 80% of my plays are 3% plays, so I consider a 4% play for me a big play. 4% NBA best bet, and I have a 3% NHL play. Okay, let's get to what I like tonight. Let's start off with the Calgary Flames, a team that has just had such a disaster start to the season. They're playing the Dallas Stars. They've lost one game in regulation all year, and tonight they're going to lose number 2. We like the Calgary Flames plus 108. Split that bet up, guys. Take the Calgary Flames in regulation for big plus money and Calgary on the money line at plus 108. This is a bad spot for Dallas and a good spot for the Calgary Flames. The Colorado Avalanche are hosting the St. Louis Blues, and I'm going to literally hand you a whole ton of bets on this game. I think the score is going to be 5-1 Colorado. I would bet Colorado on the alternative puck line at minus 2.5 goals. You get plus 200 and something for that bet. I would bet the under 6.5 in this game. I would bet Colorado team total over in this game, and I would bet the St. Louis Blues team total under in this game. So there's a ton of bets on just that one single game. That's it for the daily presidential address. That's it for WagerTalk today. Teddy, we're doing Marketplace again tomorrow. From now on, we're going to do it Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Everybody loves that segment, plus you and argue. For the person who wrote in the chat room, does Teddy and I really, really hate each other? We'll both give you an answer to that, and it will likely be different. I love Teddy. He's family to me. Your turn, Teddy.
Not so much.
And that's
yes,
the
Lawrence,
show.
you're family.
Oh,
I
bugger
love
off.
you, Lawrence. You're the
Screw
best
you,
person I've ever met.
Teddy.
You're
Screw
beautiful. Don't ever
you.
change. Thanks for watching
Bugger
WagerTalk today.
off.
We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel. 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and then, you guys know what to do. Enjoy the games, and best of luck with all your wagers.